People say hardcore mode is how Diablo 4 is meant to be played, that without the fear of death, the game has no real stakes. So I tried hardcore for the first time ever, not to prove I'm good enough, but to find out if fear actually makes Diablo 4 better, or does it just make it more stressful? So let me put the time and stress in for you so you can sit back, relax, and see if fear of death is really the missing ingredient in a casual ARPG. There's a common belief in ARPGs and games in general that gear should feel earned. Difficulty should be borderline punishing, and that without constant threat, the experience is hollow. Nowhere does that belief shine brighter than hardcore mode, where death doesn't inconvenience you, it just deletes you. There's a common sentiment in the ARPG genre that hardcore represents the true pinnacle of the experience. It's for the streamers, it's for the chads. The most extreme, disciplined, and fearless heroes among us are the only ones who dare venture into the gauntlet of hardcore, and I get the allure, truly. I'm not knocking anyone who enjoys it by any means because hell, I enjoy it. This video isn't about whether hardcore is harder, it's about whether fear makes Diablo 4 better. So why do this? The honest answer is, I think I enjoy stress. Or maybe I've lived with it so long that games without it just feel empty. And when your idea of fun requires constant pressure and threat, that's a little bit unsettling. I chose Druid for one reason, it's forgiveness. Bear form gave me margin for error, and Pulverize smoothed out any mistakes I was inevitably going to make. And early on, hardcore felt manageable. I'll say this, I felt very disoriented without the campaign. I wasn't following a story anymore, I was just making decisions, and those decisions were now permanent. At first, I played timid, dodging out of everything, overcorrecting here and there, feeling the true extent of hardcore, the stress, the fear, and around this point, something changed. I'd almost died 2 or 3 times, and every new encounter came with the same realization. If this enemy doesn't die, I will. And objectively, it didn't matter. I'd lose a few hours and maybe some gear, but my body didn't know that. My heart rate went up, I started talking to myself. I'd be like, okay, we're fine. Don't panic, don't freeze, it's okay. Just hit the buttons you're supposed to hit. And that's when it clicked. Hardcore wasn't really making the game deeper. After all, nothing had really changed. It was making my nervous system louder. And I won't lie, I liked it. Hardcore fundamentally changes the way that you play, and every pack becomes an assessment. Instead of let's just jump in and see what happens, it became, is this the most optimal moment to engage and stay alive? And that shift led me to kite a bit more, to hesitate, to feel the danger creeping in just a little earlier than before. And that's intoxicating. Seeing a yellow elite wasn't just a nuisance, it demanded respect because that mob had the ability to erase me instantly. There's something intoxicating about feeling anything in a world that trains us to be neutral. Neutral conversations with coworkers, neutral body language, neutral feelings, everything ends up just feeling flat, like a pencil only allowed to ever draw a straight line. Sure, you're capable of drawing shapes and circles, but no, you must keep doing the same boring thing over and over. Hardcore gave me this weird permission to feel overwhelmed, to feel pressure, and that felt good, but it did raise a question that I couldn't really ignore. What if we're training ourselves to only feel alive under pressure? Does this mean it's good game design, or am I just feeding a personal stress addiction? Every small spike of adrenaline was carving a deeper groove into my brain. Because hardcore didn't make Diablo 4 more interesting, it actually made it more restrictive. Every decision started to narrow instead of expand. Every fight became about survival instead of experimentation. And that's when it hit me. Fun, real fun, isn't about fear of failure, it's about freedom. Freedom to try something stupid or to push a build too far. If hardcore gives you meaning, that's valid. I just needed to know whether it was giving me fun. And in normal Diablo 4, dying is simply information. You tweak your build, you jump right back in, no problem whatsoever. In hardcore, dying is literally the end. So instead of asking, hey, what happens if I try this? Is this skill good? Is this build good? Oh, nope, that's terrible. You start asking, what is the literal safest possible option here? And that's changed everything for me. Because Diablo 4 isn't built around careful survival, I think Diablo 4 is built around feel and flow of combat. The loop is fast, the fun comes from turning your brain off just enough to let the game breathe. Hardcore doesn't deepen that loop at all, it actually interrupts it. And that's why I think the removal of friction in D4 is still not a bad thing. I think it's a better design choice, and that design choice allows the gameplay itself to stay front and center. If Diablo 4 chased fear the way other ARPGs do, if it built its identity around permanent loss and constant anxiety, I don't think it would become better. It would just become smaller, just another slightly mediocre ARPG competing on stress instead of feel. And that's the irony. Hardcore didn't reveal what Diablo 4 was missing, it confirmed to me what it was doing right. When your idea of fun requires constant pressure and threat, when the rush becomes the reward, you stop asking whether something is good and you start chasing how it makes you feel. The addiction, the rush, the feeling, the true danger. I didn't realize it yet, but that danger was already shaping how I played. Confidence started creeping in. My wolves became werewolves, my damage went up, and I started thinking, you know what, hardcore isn't that bad. I'm probably going to take this guy to pit level 100 or 120. I'm not sure why people say that hardcore is even hard. And that confidence did what hardcore is literally designed to do. It killed me. And it was here, sitting on the death screen, that I reflected on the experience. I'd enjoyed the stress. I'd enjoyed the challenge of every decision mattering, but I don't think it made the game objectively better. I think it made the game less fun for its own sake and reintroduced the very thing that I'd been trying to avoid up until this point, which was low-grade, constant stress. It was like meeting an old friend. It walked like fun, it talked like fun, but it left me feeling the same as before, just stressed and wired. The truth lying here with my lifeless body was this: stress isn't the true definition of fun, but it can keep you alive. The true killer in this equation, the true end of my hardcore journey, and maybe a reflection on real life, is this: confidence. A willing to push things farther than you know you should, that addiction to the rush, that addiction to the feeling that you get, that is the real danger.